Thanks, Anna. So now is a really, I'm very honored to invite Secretary of State Carme Artigas on stage to make the closing for our event, for our fantastic conference. But I have to say 2 words up front. Many, many thanks to you, participants, team, and especially to Spain hosting this event and giving us the opportunity in doing this here in this fantastic environment. Please come on stage.
Dear all, it is an honor for me to close this European Big Data Value Forum, a Spanish presidency event where we finally talk about the value of data. Thank you very much for having chosen Valencia, for organizing this great event, for having come to Spain, and for the great organization and success of this event with, I think, 600 or more participant lives and some others connecting online. This forum represents the triple helix: how to advance public policy, how to advance in industrial initiatives, and how to advance in research initiatives. These 3 axes just focus to make data work for AI, for business, and for the public interest. The discussions and presentations over the last 3 days have centered on how data and AI need to integrate in our present reality in a sustainable way, as well as help us prepare for the future realities. As we stand on the edge of rapid technological advances with innovations such as generative AI or virtual and immersive worlds, I must say that Spain's objectives resonate deeply on these topics, underscoring a thoughtful and sustainable vision for our shared digital future. Digital technologies, as you have seen these days, have a lot to do with economic growth. And in particular in Spain, by 2030, 45% of the benefits in the Spanish market will come from AI through automation, assistance for decision-making, or more personalized offers and services. Only in 2020, the digital sector represented 19% of our GDP. But today, in 2023, it already represents 23%. We hope that by 2030, the digital sector will account for 40% of our GDP. Already today, if the data economy was a vertical, it will be the 2nd largest vertical in contribution of our national GDP just after construction. So the amount of data we are gathering only makes sense if we are going to use it for our economy, for our purpose, and for a better and more efficient business models. So economic growth at any cost, however, is not the way forward. The digital transformation must be human-centered and rights-oriented. And this is why Spain was the first country to launch a Charter of Digital Rights already in year 2020 that has set the way followed by many. For example, it inspired the European Declaration of Digital Rights and Principles last year. And with the rest of the OECD countries, we committed to work towards a recommendation on preserving rights in the digital age during the last 2022 OECD Digital Economy Ministerial meeting that we held in Canary Islands. But also earlier this year, we signed the Ibero-American Charter on Digital Principles and Rights with 22 countries of Ibero-America. As you know, Spain is a reference country in the world in the development and implementation of artificial intelligence policies and legislation. In the 2023 AI report by Stanford University, Spain ranks the first country in the world with the highest number of legislative proceedings containing mentions of AI, 273, only in 2022. And besides this ethical framework, our national strategy on AI foresees key strategic axes that focus on investment and innovation or developing data platforms for AI. I would like to focus on just a few initiatives that I believe are relevant for the discussion that you have had during these days. In our missions for AI, we have funded 5 lighthouse R&D projects that will use AI to solve current societal challenges with an amount of 50 million euros in total. Some of these challenges are sustainable energy, personalized medicine, or the efficiency of agro-food value chains. In our national program for green algorithms, we have committed 278 million euros to ensure that AI is developed green by design. And by default, developing also a quality seal for green tech. Apart from financing the development of green AI, we are also funding projects that use AI to support the green transition. In our strategic project of the economy of a Spanish language, we have allocated 1,100 million of public investment to boost natural language processing in Spanish, to counter the hegemony of English in AI. But we hope to mobilize also 1,100 million of additional private investments. And in order to be able to fund the future unicorns in Europe, and particularly in Spain, we have launched the Next Tech Fund, which is a public-private investment fund of a total of 8 billion euros to support Spain-based companies that not in the startup phase, but on the scale-up phase, and especially focus in deep tech. Now I'm here because, apart from my role as Secretary of State, we are holding the presidency of the Council of the EU. And in that role, we are leading the trilogue negotiations to adopt the EU regulation on AI, the so-called AI Act, hoping that we can finish it during this year. And as you probably know, the future AI Act will regulate those AI systems that might have a serious impact on health, safety, or fundamental rights for individuals. The AI systems will be classified according to the level of risk: minimum, limited, high risk, or unacceptable risk. Just precisely this last Tuesday, we had our 4th trialogue, and it was clear that it's difficult because the stakes are very high, but we are getting there. And looking at possible landing zones in view of closing the deal during this presidency. I think it is a historical moment. I always say that the European AI Act is not a legal standard. It's not a technical standard. We want it to become a moral standard, telling the rest of the world what we consider it is acceptable to do with our data, what is considered is acceptable to do with AI, and what is not acceptable. Because technology cannot be just developed without any limits. We must keep human agency, and technology must serve the people, not the other way around. So the Act, as you have already seen, also foresees the creation of sandboxes that would help pioneers and innovators to develop trustworthy AI. I think you had a great opportunity to listen to a very in-depth presentation of my team, Alberto, on the sandbox on AI and the status, and anticipating, therefore, the entry into force of the regulation on AI. This sandbox will give companies, especially SMBs, the opportunity to test and put into practice principles targeting high-risk systems that might be put on general-purpose AI and even on foundational models. This will reduce barriers that hamper innovation implementation costs for SMEs, which represent 99% of the business fabric and generate 70% of the jobs in Spain. During this year, we have already been working on the implementation of guidelines for each of the 7 principles applicable to high-risk AI: data governance, documentation, robustness, cybersecurity, human oversight, risk management, etc. And we are preparing the royal decree that comes after this call of interest that has already counted with more than 50 companies interested in participating in the sandbox. But also, we are doing our homework, because we are the first country to create a national agency for the supervision of AI. And we are also the country that is hosting the European Center for Algorithm Transparency based in Sevilla. As you know, that Spain has also pledged to become the seat of a future international agency on AI. And this is why I'm pleased to announce that precisely yesterday, the UN Secretary General announced the creation of a high-level artificial intelligence board to advise the Secretary General, that will work to propose international governance of AI under the leadership of the UN Tech Envoy. And I've been so honored to become a member of this board and be part of the co-chairs, so one of the two co-chairs. So I think that we can use this platform to share with the rest of the world European vision on how data must be shared with trust to support the development of trustworthy AI. And I think that are the values that we need to share with the rest of the world and find the right balance on the international governance bodies. We did that already in the early days of the Secretary of State. In 2020, we created the Data Office with the Chief Data Officer that you know well, Alberto, aiming to address the technical challenges and ecosystem coordination in this digital landscape. Because data is non-rebellious asset. We can reuse it many times. This allows to take advantage to the opportunity derived from the exchange and reuse of data. This exchange ultimately leads to increase in volumes and granularity of data, as well in higher quality data sets. And that is key to develop trustworthy AI. But for AI to access all this data, we need to ensure that data spaces communicate across data holders, sectors, verticals, and nations. And for this, we also need a trustworthy cloud that allows for such data to flow with trust. However, we will only achieve that through the following principles: traceability, transparency, interconnection, and portability. The bottom line is, as I said, is the following. Building trustworthy AI requires trustworthy data and a trustworthy cloud infrastructure. And that requires coordination at EU level that drives practical implementation, monitors its operation, and ensures that in the meantime, we establish these standards for all of it. And this is why Spain is part of the Gaia X family, with a specific hub, whose operations are to start on these principles. I'm also very happy to hear the announcement to set up an international manufacturing cooperation, Manufacturing X, that includes not only European Union, but also USA and Japan. And I encourage the Spanish ecosystem to join this endeavor with the leadership of Gaia X Spain. Congratulations, Thomas Hahn, and your team for these great achievements. In summary, the future of data and artificial intelligence depends on our collective vision. Spain's efforts, combined with European initiatives, lay the foundations for a secure digital future. But then, we need to, first of all, be able to coordinate and orchestrate the European ecosystem, to allow for to drive practical implementations, to monitor efficient operations, and to advance in the standardization of trustworthy cloud and data labels. We must not forget that the data sphere is growing. Already in this year, 2023, it seems to account 25 zettabytes. But in just 2 more years, it will double its size as more or less 51 zettabytes. And 60% of the data that is not yet being created will derive from machine interactions more than human interactions. So it is critical for the future competitiveness of Europe that we are able to build those industrial data spaces across our countries and nations. Collaboration between the public and private sectors is not only beneficial, but essential for our competitiveness. Together, we are prepared to set the global standards, fusing innovation with our core European values. As the claim of this conference says, we must put data and AI into action to create sustainable impact and to make this future vision a reality. Thank you very much.